Welcome back, everyone. Get ready to dive into something delicious today.
Hmm.
We're talking all about starting a cottage food business. Yeah, you heard that right. Turning your kitchen into a business.
Exactly. Taking those recipes, those amazing dishes you're already known for, and, well, sharing them with the world.
It sounds amazing, and I know a lot of people dream about it. But I gotta admit, the legal side of things kind of makes me nervous. All those rules and regulations, cottage food laws, right?
Yeah, those are definitely important. And honestly, that's where a lot of people get tripped up.
So where do we even start?
Well, the first thing is, you got to remember cottage food laws, they're not the same everywhere.
Oh, so it's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing?
Nope, not even close. Each state has its own, you could say its own culinary constitution. So
Yeah.
your first stop, your state's Department of Agriculture or their health department website.
Gotcha. So we're talking about like really specific rules for each state.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like some states, they might limit how much money you can make. Like there's a cap on your earnings.
Really? Wow. Okay.
And then there's where you can actually sell your stuff. Some places might say farmers markets only. Others might be totally cool with online sales. It really
So
varies.
it's not just about like perfecting my grandma's secret cookie recipe. There's a whole other side to it.
Right. And those rules, they can change too. So it's a good idea to sign up for those newsletters from your local ag department or health department, just so you're in the loop.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
So we've got the legal stuff kind of sorted out. At least we know where to look. But let's talk about the fun part. The food. I mean, that's where this whole thing starts, right?
Absolutely. You start with what you love, what you're already good at. That family recipe, that dish everyone begs you to bring to parties. That's your starting point.
Makes sense. Though I will say sometimes those dishes, they're a hit with family and friends, but maybe not, ready for the market.
And that's where those taste tests, those honest to goodness taste tests come in. We're not talking about those polite, oh, this is no comments from your aunt. You need real feedback. Brutal honesty.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, we all have those recipes that need a little refining. I once tried to make like a healthy version of my mom's cheesecake.
Hmm.
It was an experience, let's just say that.
It happens.
Huh.
But that's how you learn, right? And while you're perfecting those recipes, it's also good to think about what's trending. Like, are you tapping into a dietary trend, gluten-free, vegan, those kinds of things? Or are you creating something totally unique?
Like those gourmet marshmallows shaped like little animals I saw online. Super cute.
Exactly. Finding that sweet spot where your passion meets what people are actually looking for, that's the key.
Got it. Okay, so we've got our legal checklist. We're taste testing like pros. Now what? How do we actually become a business?
Ah, the business side of things. And yeah, for some people that can be a little daunting, especially that thing called the business plan.
Oh yeah, the business plan. I'm already picturing like spreadsheets and graphs and stuff that I don't even understand.
I hear ya, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. Think of it as a roadmap, even a simple one, just to keep you on track. And depending on where you are, how big you want to go, you might need to think about, like, registering your business.
Like registering, like what does that even mean? Sole proprietorship, LLC, those things.
Yeah, those are the common ones. A sole proprietorship, it's pretty simple to set up, but, if things go wrong, your personal stuff could be at risk. An LLC, that offers more protection, but it's a little more complex. Best to talk to a lawyer about that stuff.
Okay, noted. I definitely don't want my personal stuff at risk. And I'm assuming we're going to need a separate bank account for all this, right?
Absolutely. Trust me, it'll save you a lot of headaches later on, especially when tax season rolls around. And while we're on the topic of protecting yourself, insurance is a must. Some states, they require specific coverage for cottage food businesses, but even if yours doesn't, it's peace of mind.
Okay, so we've got our legal stuff in order, our recipes were getting taste tested and refined, and we're thinking about the business side of things. Feels like we're actually building something here.
You got it. And now it's about taking those amazing recipes and making sure every batch is, well, perfect.
Oh, so we're talking about like consistency, making sure everything tastes the same every time.
Exactly. And the key to that is standardization. We're talking weighing ingredients, not just eyeballing them.
So putting away those measuring spoons with the pinch and dash markings.
Pretty much. Consistent measurements mean consistent results. And that's what builds trust with your customers. Imagine if someone loved your cookies, then they order again and they taste totally different.
Yeah, not good. So it's about creating a system, a process that works.
Right. Think about how you'll prep, cook, package the whole 9 yards. Having a good workflow will save you so much time and stress. And of course, quality control. Using top-notch ingredients, being super careful about food safety, those are non-negotiables.
Got it. Because one bad batch, especially when you're starting out, that could really hurt your reputation.
Yeah.
Okay, recipes are dialed in, our kitchen is running like a well-oiled machine.
Mhm.
Now, the big question, how much do we charge for all this goodness?
Ah, the pricing dilemma. And it can be tricky. It's not just about like adding up the cost of your ingredients and calling it a day.
Right, because our time, the packaging, even the electricity to run the oven, that all costs money.
You got it.
Cool.
A good starting point is to look at what other similar products are going for in your area. But here's the thing. If you're using unique ingredients or you're making something truly special, you can charge a premium.
So it's about value, not just cost.
Exactly. That's called value-based pricing. You're offering something unique, handcrafted, that's worth more, but you also got to communicate that value to your customers. Let them know why your product is worth that extra dollar.
Makes sense. Okay, we've got pricing figured out. But how do we make sure our products stand out in a crowded market? There's got to be a ton of competition out there.
This is where branding comes in. It's all about creating a personality for your business. What's your story? What feeling do you want to evoke?
Okay, so like, are we going for rustic and homemade,
Yeah.
modern and minimalist, funky and fun?
Exactly. And don't forget about those labels. They need to be clear, eye-catching, and they gotta meet any legal requirements for cottage food products. Think about it. Your product is sitting on a shelf next to a bunch of others. How will yours stand out?
Right, you got to grab that customer's attention. The label is like the first impression, right?
You got it. Okay, so we've got a brand that's as delicious as the food itself. Now, how do we get the word out? How do we get people excited to try our stuff? Well, these days, you can't ignore social media, right? Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok. It's all about showcasing your amazing food, giving people a peek behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, like those drill-worthy photos of a fresh batch of cookies coming out of the oven.
Exactly. But don't discount those face-to-face interactions either. Farmers markets, pop-up shops, those are gold. You get to connect with customers, get real-time feedback.
Nothing beats seeing someone's face light up when they try your food for the first time. And of course, word of mouth. Hacky customers, they're your best advertisement.
Absolutely. And hey, think about teaming up with other local businesses. Maybe you partner with a coffee shop to sell your pastries, or you collaborate with another food artisan to create a gift basket.
Collaboration, I
Yeah.
like it. It's like a win-win for everyone.
Now, as those orders start coming in, you got to keep track of the money, right? Bookkeeping, that's the not so fun part of running a business.
Yeah, but important. I guess you can't really enjoy the fruits of your labor if you don't know where all the money's going, right?
Exactly. Thankfully, there are lots of tools out there that can help, spreadsheets, software programs, that kind of thing.
And I'm guessing if we're thinking big, we need to think about those long-term costs too, right?
Absolutely. Maybe it's upgrading your equipment, hiring some extra help, maybe even down the line, renting a commercial kitchen if you hit those cottage food limits. Planning for the future is important.
Makes sense. But even starting small, we need to know if we're actually making a profit, right? Like, are we actually making money on each cookie we sell?
That's a question every business owner needs to ask. Are you making money or just breaking even? Don't be afraid to adjust your pricing, maybe streamline your offerings, see what's selling well and what's not.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. Legal stuff, marketing, finances. But there's one thing that feels really important, especially since we're talking about working from home.
You're talking about food safety, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's got to be super important when our home kitchen is our workspace.
absolutely. And that's what we'll dive into next.
So food safety. It feels like a whole other level when we're talking about turning our home kitchen into, well, a business.
It is, definitely. We're not just talking about like wiping down the counters after dinner anymore.
So what do we talk about, like hazmat suits and stuff?
Not quite, but you're right. It's a step up in terms of, being super clean. Think like sparkling surfaces, meticulous hand washing, sanitizing everything.
Wow, okay. So everything gets the deep clean treatment.
You got it. We're talking about creating a really hygienic environment. And storage is important too, right? You got to think about where you're keeping your ingredients, your finished products.
So no more like storing my cookies next to, I don't know, a bag of onions.
Exactly. Cross-contamination is a big no-no. And speaking of keeping things fresh, remember those shelf life guidelines?
Oh yeah, we talked about those. But honestly, I always kind of thought those were more like suggestions, not hard and fast rules.
Nope, they're super important. You got to make sure you're only selling products that are, well, at their peak of deliciousness.
Makes sense. So it's not just about the baking, it's about all this other stuff too. Organization, food safety. Feels like a lot to keep track of.
It is. But it's all part of running a successful business. And speaking of learning, remember those food safety courses.
The ones that some states require for cottage food businesses.
Right. Even if your state doesn't require them, taking a course is a good idea. Shows your customers you're serious about their safety. And it's a good way to learn best practices, just in case.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so let's say we've aced our food safety test, our kitchen is sparkling, our cookies are perfectly packaged and ready to go. What happens if we start, really taking off? Like, we hit those cottage food sales limits.
Well, first off, congratulations. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it is cutting, but also a little scary, right? Like, what do we do when our business starts to outgrow our, well, cottage?
That's when you start thinking about expanding. Maybe getting a commercial license so you can work in a bigger space, a commercial kitchen maybe, gives you more room to produce, to store, maybe even sell directly to customers.
So we're talking about like going pro.
Exactly. It's a big step, but it opens up a lot of possibilities. Or, another option, you could rent a commissary kitchen.
I've heard that term, but what exactly is that?
It's basically a shared kitchen space designed for food businesses, so you get access to professional equipment, storage, all that good stuff.
Oh, so it's like a co-working space, but for food people.
Exactly. It's a good way to, test the waters of scaling up without having to invest in your own commercial kitchen right away.
That's smart. Okay, so let's talk expanding our product line too. We've got our signature cookies, everyone loves them, but how do we know when it's time to, like, branch out?
Well, it's all about finding that balance, right? Staying true to your brand, but also keeping things exciting for your customers.
So it's not just about randomly adding new things to the menu.
Not exactly. It's more strategic. You got to listen to your customers, see what they're asking for.
Like if everyone keeps asking for a gluten-free version of our chocolate chip cookies, maybe it's time to experiment with that.
Exactly. Or, maybe you take your best-selling product and create like a variation on it, a new flavor, a different size.
Ooh, like mini versions of our brownies. I love that idea. Okay, and we talked about online sales before, but it feels like that could be a big part of expanding, especially if we're trying to, reach more people than just our local market.
Absolutely. The online world, it's a huge opportunity. But got to be careful about those state-specific laws again. Just like with those cottage food laws, some states, they have rules about what you can sell online and where you can ship to.
Oh, right. So we need to do our homework on that.
Definitely. And labeling requirements, those are usually even more strict for online sales. You got to make sure everything is clearly labeled, all the ingredients, allergens, that kind of stuff.
Makes sense. And packaging, right.
Yeah.
It's got to be strong enough to survive the journey through the mail.
You got it. No one wants a box of crushed cookies. Now, setting up an online shop, that might seem kind of scary, especially if you're not like a tech person.
Oh, yeah. Building a website, all that stuff, that's definitely not my forte.
I hear ya. But the good news is there are a ton of easy-to-use options out there. You don't have to be a tech whiz to get started.
That's a relief. So let's say we've got our online shop set up, we're ready to go. How do we actually get people to find it?
Marketing. That's the key. We talked about social media before, and it's even more important online. Beautiful photos of your products, behind-the-scenes stuff, maybe even some videos.
Oh, so like those videos where people are like cutting into a cake and it looks all gooey and delicious?
Exactly. You got to make people hungry just by looking at your stuff. And don't forget about email marketing. Get people signed up for your email list so you can keep in touch, let them know about new products, special offers.
Like a little reminder, hey, it's time for cookies.
Exactly. You can also run online ads on social media or search engines, helps you reach even more people.
Okay, so lots of ways to get the word out. That's good.
It is. And once you start getting those online orders, those customer reviews, those are super important. Encourage happy customers to leave reviews, on your website, social media, wherever.
Because online, it's all about, like, social proof, right?
Yeah.
People want to see that other people love your stuff before they buy it.
Exactly. And make sure your online shop is easy to use. No one wants to struggle through a complicated checkout process.
Yeah, no one wants to give up on buying cookies because the website is confusing.
Right. And security, that's super important too. People need to feel confident that their information is safe when they're shopping online.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. Setting up an online shop, marketing, security. It's a lot to think about, but also kind of exciting.
It is. The online world, it's constantly changing, so got to be willing to adapt, be creative.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to go back to that moment where, you hit those cottage food limits and you realize, okay, It's time to take things to the next level. It's exciting, but also maybe a little daunting. Like, how do we actually make that leap from home baker to, I don't know, full-on food entrepreneur?
It's a big step, for sure. And it's normal to feel, a mix of emotions, excited, nervous, all of that. But you've got to remember, you've already come so far. You've built this successful cottage food business, you've developed amazing recipes, you've got customers who love your stuff. That's huge.
So it's like we've already climbed the first mountain, and now we're just figuring out how to tackle the next one.
Exactly. And just like with your cottage food journey, this next chapter is all about taking it one step at a time. Do your research, seek out support, and trust your gut.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some practical steps we can take to, like, prepare for that leap?
First things first, get clear on your vision. What does expansion look like for you? Is it a storefront? A food truck? Maybe partnering with a local store to carry your products?
Oh, wow, those all sound amazing, but also maybe a little scary.
That's okay. The key is to break down those big goals into smaller steps. So, like, if you're dreaming of a storefront, start researching what you need. Zoning permits, health inspections, all that fun stuff.
Right, got to make sure we're doing everything by the book.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for help. There are tons of resources out there for small businesses, mentorship programs, business incubators, even just like online communities of other food entrepreneurs.
It's like having a whole cheerleading squad for your business.
You got it. And remember, this is your journey. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Trust your instincts, follow your passion, and don't be afraid to take a risk.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. But let's be real. Starting a business, especially in the food world, it's tough. Long hours, unexpected challenges. How do we stay motivated? How do we keep that, culinary fire burning?
That's a great question. And honestly, I think it comes down to remembering why you started this in the first place. What do you love about food? What makes you happy in the kitchen?
For me, it's about creating something that makes people happy. Seeing them enjoy something I made, that's the best feeling.
Exactly. Hold on to that feeling. Let it fuel your creativity, your dedication, because those moments, that's what makes all the hard work worth it.
So it's not just about building a business, it's about building something meaningful.
Beautifully said. And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. There will be ups and downs, for sure. But as long as you stay true to your vision, to your values, to your passion, you'll keep moving forward.
I love that. Okay, we've covered so much ground today. Legal stuff, marketing, expansion, even a little pep talk. But there's one thing we haven't really talked about, and it feels like the most important ingredient of all.
You're talking about the heart and soul of a cottage food business.
Exactly. The passion, the creativity, that commitment to quality.
The magic that happens when you pour your heart into everything you make.
Exactly. And that's what we'll dive into next. It really does feel like, with cottage food businesses, it's not just about, like, the recipe,
Yeah.
or the marketing. It's something more than that.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's about, you could say, infusing your business with like a spark, that passion, that realness that makes your stuff stand out.
Because people can taste the difference, right?
Well,
Like, you can tell when something's made with, well, love.
oh, absolutely. Think about it. When you bite into, say, a cookie and you know it was made with passion, you can almost taste that. It's like the baker's joy is baked right in.
It's like, it's the difference between, I don't know, a store-bought cake and, like, your grandma's homemade cake. You can just tell there's a story there, a history.
That's a great way to put it. And that's the power you have with the cottage food business. You get to share that story, that passion through what you make.
So it's not just about selling, like, a product. It's about connecting with people.
Right. You're inviting them into your world. You're sharing a little piece of yourself with every cookie, every jar of jam.
And I think that's what makes cottage food businesses so special. It's about community, bringing people together through, well, good food.
Totally. It's like you're creating this ripple effect of joy from your kitchen to your customers to their friends and family.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here, I'm going to leave everyone with this thought.
Go for it.
Embrace that passion. Let it fuel you,
Yeah.
because that's the magic ingredient. That's what makes all the difference.
I love that. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's so much you can do. So get out there, experiment, have fun, and create something amazing.
And don't forget why you started this whole thing in the first place. Hold on to that joy.
Couldn't agree more. Happy baking, everyone.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time for another delicious exploration. Until then, happy cooking.